In his lifetime, Jesse Lauriston Livermore, born on July 26, 1877, made significant contributions to the field of stock trading. He is credited as a pioneer of day trading and served as the inspiration for the main character in the best-selling book, Reminiscences of a Stock Operator by Edwin Lefebvre. Livermore's trading strategies and experiences have left a lasting impact on the world of finance. Livermore experienced both the highs and lows of wealth. At one point, he was among the wealthiest individuals globally. However, tragically, at the time of his death by suicide, Livermore found himself in a dire financial situation, with liabilities exceeding his assets. His life story serves as a cautionary tale about the volatile nature of financial markets and the importance of risk management. During Livermore's era, obtaining accurate financial information was challenging, and market manipulation was widespread. Despite these obstacles, Livermore relied on what is now recognized as technical analysis to inform his trading decisions. His approach focused on analyzing market trends and price movements rather than solely relying on fundamental factors. Livermore's insights into the role of emotion in trading remain relevant and continue to be studied by traders and investors today. Livermore was born into poverty in Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, and later moved with his family to Acton, Massachusetts during his childhood. Remarkably, Livermore learned to read and write at the incredibly young age of 3.5, showcasing his intellectual aptitude from a young age. At just 14 years old, Livermore's father withdrew him from school to assist with farm work. Despite his father's decision, Livermore, with his mother's support, made the bold choice to run away from home. At just 14 years old in 1891, he started his career as a board boy at a stock brokerage in Boston, earning $5 per week. His first venture into trading was buying 5 shares of Burlington for $5. By age 15, in 1892, he took a $5 bet on Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Railroad at a bucket shop, a place for leveraged bets on stock prices. He made a profit of $3.12 on this bet. From ages 16 to 17, during 1893 to 1894, he earned around $200 per week trading at bucket shops in Boston, which was much more than his salary at the brokerage. At 16, he decided to quit his job and trade full-time. Despite his success, his mother disapproved, considering it gambling, but he argued it was speculation. Between ages 18 and 20, from 1895 to 1897, he amassed $10,000 in trading profits, achieving a remarkable 1,000% net return in just 3 years. However, his consistent winning led to being barred by most Boston area bucket shops. Even using disguises and false names couldn't prevent a citywide ban. From 1898 to 1900, when he was 21 to 22 years old, he kept trading at Haight Freeze, the last bucket shop in Boston that still allowed him to trade. But trading became harder because Haight Freeze started making it riskier by increasing the difference between buying and selling prices and demanding more money up front. At 23, on September 14, 1900, he moved to New York City just as the stock market was doing really well. He made a smart move at Harris Hutton Company, turning $10,000 into $50,000 in just 5 days. But in May 1901, he guessed wrong about the market and lost everything he had because the information he needed wasn't updated fast enough. He borrowed $2,000 and went back to trading in St. Louis, where nobody knew him. His first big success came in 1901, when he was 24 years old. He bought shares in Northern Pacific Railway and turned $10,000 into $500,000. In 1906, he was on vacation in Palm Beach, Florida, at a fancy club owned by Edward R. Bradley. Acting on a tip from Thomas W. Lawson, he made a huge bet that the Union Pacific Railroad stock would drop just before the San Francisco earthquake. He made $250,000, but later when he decided to buy the stock again, his friend Edward Francis Hutton, who ran the brokerage where he traded, convinced him to sell, and he lost $40,000. During the panic of 1907, his big bets against the market made him $1 million in one day. But his mentor, J.P. Morgan, asked him to stop betting against the market. So he did, and he ended up making his net worth $3 million by playing the market's recovery. He lived a lavish lifestyle, buying a $200,000 yacht, a rail car, in a fancy apartment on the Upper West Side of New York City. He joined exclusive clubs and had multiple mistresses. In 1908, he listened to advice from a friend named Theodore H. Teddy Price to buy cotton, but Price secretly sold instead. Livermore went bankrupt but managed to recover all his losses. In 1915, he declared bankruptcy for the second time. After World War I, Livermore tried to control the cotton market secretly. However, President Woodrow Wilson intervened, and Livermore agreed to sell the cotton back at no profit to prevent disruptions in cotton prices. Livermore explained that he did it just to test his ability, not for any malicious intent. Between 1924 and 1925, Livermore manipulated the market, making $10 million by trading wheat and corn and squeezing the stock of Piggly Wiggly. In early 1929, Livermore took huge bets against the market, hiding his actions using more than 100 stockbrokers. Initially, he lost over $6 million. But when the Wall Street crash happened later that year, he made around $100 million. However, he faced public blame and death threats after being labeled the Great Bear of Wall Street. Livermore went through personal turmoil, including a divorce in 1932, his son being shot by his wife in 1935, and legal issues with his mistress. Mental health struggles worsened with the new regulations imposed by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission in 1934. He eventually lost his fortune and declared bankruptcy for the third time in 1934, with assets of $84,000 and debts of $2.5 million. He was also suspended from the Chicago Board of Trade. In 1937, he managed to pay off his $800,000 tax bill. In 1939, Livermore started a financial advisory business, selling a system for technical analysis. Livermore's reading preferences. He liked the book Extraordinary Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds by Charles Mackay, which was also a favorite of his close friend Bernard Baruch, a fellow stock trader. Livermore's hobby. He found pleasure in fishing, and in 1937, he managed to catch a massive 486-pound swordfish. Livermore got married 3 times and had 2 children. His first marriage was to Nettie Jordan from Indianapolis when he was 23 in October 1900. They didn't know each other well before getting married. Less than a year later, Livermore lost all his money in bad trades. He asked Nettie to pawn the jewelry he gave her for money, but she refused, causing problems in their relationship. They separated soon after, but Livermore helped fund the defense for his brother-in-law who was accused of murder. They officially divorced in October 1917. His second marriage was to Dorothea Dorothy Fox Went on December 2, 1918, when he was 40. Dorothy was a former Ziegfeld girl in the Ziegfeld Follies. They had 2 sons together. Livermore bought an expensive house and allowed Dorothy to spend as much as she wanted on furnishings. However, their relationship became strained due to Dorothy's drinking, Livermore's affairs, and their lavish spending. Dorothy filed for divorce in 1931 and quickly married someone else, receiving a large settlement. Livermore's third marriage was to Harriet Metz Noble on March 28, 1933, when he was 56. They had met in Vienna in 1931, while Metz Noble was performing as a singer. She came from a wealthy family, but Livermore was her 5th husband. Livermore's son, Jesse Jr., proposed in late 1939 that his father write a book about trading. The book, titled How to Trade in Stocks, was released by Duell, Sloan, and Pierce in March 1940. However, due to World War II and decreased interest in the stock market, the book didn't sell well. Livermore's trading techniques were also seen as controversial, leading to mixed reviews. On Thanksgiving Day in 1940, just after 5:30 p.m., Jesse Livermore tragically took his own life. He used a Colt automatic pistol to end his life in the cloakroom of the Sherry Netherland Hotel in Manhattan, where he often enjoyed having cocktails. When the police arrived, they found a handwritten note in Livermore's personal notebook. It was 8 pages long and addressed to his wife Harriet, whom he affectionately called Nina. In the note, Livermore poured out his heart, expressing how tired he was of fighting and how he felt unworthy of his wife's love. He said he was sorry, but he couldn't see any other way out of his troubles.